So there are three different projects that we undertake. One is with Akanksha.
Right.
The second is with Teach for India, and the third is through our own foundation, which is Training the Trainer.
Right.
So we train teachers in municipal schools.
Right.
To have confidence in themselves, to really understand where they are coming from, so that they can have confidence to teach the children.
Right.
We teach them classroom management, because it's very, very difficult to be a teacher in a class of anywhere from 30 to 60 children and manage them. So we have put together a very good program, and has been a very successful program of training the trainer in our city of Pune.
Right. So you are also, I think you've been asked this question many times about work-life balance, etc. I'm not going to put that question in the same way, but I'm going to ask you, and you mentioned about priorities. You mentioned about exactly where we are going and why we are doing what we are doing, so you know how to manage your time. Is that about balance, or is it about integrating things together?
I think for me it's a little different in the sense, because being non-executive,
Right.
I don't have to be in the company and clock myself in from 9 o'clock in the morning to 5 in the evening.
Right.
So in that sense, I have time is at my disposal, so I can decide what I want to do and how I want to use that time. But I spend probably, I don't know, 30-40% of my time or around that in the company, and or maybe even less, and a lot more of my time on either foundation or work with our NGOs,
Right.
or with CII, or with other external organizations. I'm also on the board of another NGO in energy, in sustainable energy.
Right.
So I think so my time is in a way left to me.
Okay.
And but of course, as I mentioned to you earlier, I had to have that work-life balance when I was an executive in the organization, and my kids were a lot smaller.
Right.
Today, both my kids are grown up. So, in fact, you're looking for areas in which to invest your time.
Right. So is you're also one of the key people as the green activism that's going on in our country at the moment, and you're one of the key front runners for that, right? You are the person who's getting that green focus into your company as well. So what's going on there?
I mentioned the whole thing to you in terms of energy efficiency, the waste to energy, the biomass.
Right.
I wouldn't call myself a green activist. No, I don't think so. I wouldn't say that. But I truly believe that I think, and this is again, the profit is not just a set of figures, but of values.
Right.
I truly believe that companies, I think we need to be very cognizant of all our stakeholders.
Right.
Very often a publicly listed company only looks at its shareholders and the return to shareholders as the only yardstick of measure. And for me, honestly and truly, I have always felt that every stakeholder, whether it is your employee, whether it's your customer, whether your vendors, your business associates, anyone, the environment, society, I think it's really, really important for us to take care. And I'm not saying that we always do that. I think ultimately, if you don't make profits, you can't do many things.
Right, that's true.
You can't grow the organization. You won't be able to attract your employees. You won't be able to manufacture your products or innovate or do many, many things.
Absolutely.
So it is important. But I think once you get to a certain level, it is also important to really look at every stakeholder and what does it mean as you grow.
That's true.
And I think that's fundamentally important, especially for publicly listed companies.
Right. I think that's where the value lies for every stakeholder.
Mm-hmm.
When they're looking at the company or investing, even buying a product or investing anything in the company, I think it's important that their value should be visible to them. And this is how,
Absolutely.
from this side of the company, from the side of the ownership of the company, if these things are taken into account, it becomes,
Right.
I think, very very it becomes nicer for people to get involved with either the company or the products of the company.
And also, Abha, I'd like to say that, it's very, I always tell our people that you can't have a different set of values in the home and
That's
a
true.
different set of values at work.
That's true.
You are, unless you're schizophrenic, and you are the same person basically at home
True.
with your family, with your friends, as you are at the workplace.
That's true.
So, in fact, if you have the same set of values, again, you will be more at peace with yourself.
That's true. So, being a people-centered company, and you said you're very inspired by your mother's authentic person. How important? I mean, I haven't got into the company to see how it works, but I know as a people-building person that it is very important to stay real and be able to become self-aware and be able to pick on your strengths and of the strengths of people around you. And
Mm-hmm.
what's your take on it? Because you've been there for a long enough time for to have watched many people go through processes of
Hmm.
self-building or
Hmm.
self-awareness and come out stronger when they've
Hmm.
gone through the process. So
Hmm.
just give us a peep into if there are any stories out there, if there anything that you can share with us.
Well, let me tell you that the DNA of this company is such, and sometimes it is frustrating. It's that the things that, say, for example, Meher wants done as chairperson of the company. If
Uh-huh.
I say that something should be done
Uh-huh.
because I say so, and
Right.
because I'm the owner or I'm the chairperson,
Right.
it doesn't always happen. Okay, I have to convince
Right.
my leadership team as to why I think it's important.
Right.
And once they get convinced, then they own it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the change is very quick.
Right.
So it's not a typical company where if the owner says that something has to be done, it will be done.
Right.
So it's very democratic. Uh, People really have to think for themselves and
Right.
have to be convinced for themselves
Right.
in order for them to really take ownership for any action.
Right. So I think
Uh,
this is a great lesson for leaders out there, people who are either in a leadership position or even who are not in a leadership position. That if you have to have other people do things, you have to
hmm,
reach a point of allowing them to own what is going on. Otherwise, they
yeah,
will not put themselves into it. So that is
absolutely.
really important. Having said that, Meher, you are also you don't like to cook. I hear that. Uh, so who cooks for you?
No, actually, when I was in the UK, I cooked every day,
Okay.
and
UK
but
was long time ago. I mean, you
but
were
that's
stuck
20
over there.
years ago. I had no choice over there. I
That's
had to
what I'm
do
saying.
it.
You were stuck.
So over here, with choice, I've got a very good cook at home.
So, and also you spend sufficient time in pursuing your hobbies. You sing in a choir in Pune. You
That's
you
right.
also play the piano. You say you don't play it now, but you used to play. And
It's true.
just take us back to your childhood when your mom used to show you off to people playing the piano. How
Oh,
embarrassing was that?
very embarrassing, very embarrassing, where she would show me off, because in my school, when I was doing my A levels in England, they had this sort of talent competition,
Right.
and they felt that I had an innate talent
Mhm.
good enough to have been a musician
Okay.
if I had decided to pursue my career in music.
Right.
And so my mom though just feels that, oh wow, my daughter is fantastic, which every mom would
Oh
feel
yeah, yeah.
with their daughter or son. And so she used to show me off a lot when I was younger.
Uh-huh.
But I'll let you into one lovely episode in terms of when in that same school they had a competition and I was playing the Moonlight Sonata.
Okay.
And my dad actually had come over, and my dad was really very encouraging of my learning Western classical music. And so he had come over during that time and made me practice like 3 and 4 hours a day. He hired a little room where
Right.
I could practice.
Right.
This was during a short holiday that I had. And then when it was the day of the competition, he just came and whispered into my ear, Meher, play to express rather than impress.
Uh-huh.
And I think those words have sort of remained with me in
Right.
every walk of life.
Right.
That's the authenticity piece also that comes
Absolutely.
in,
Absolutely.
which which says do it from the heart rather than only from the mind.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I think I was watching this today or yesterday was Diana Spencer's birthday. I think 55th it would have been. And
Okay.
in one of her videos, she clearly says that when you play from the heart, and
Mm.
because the world is all mind games, and you will stand out differently when you just don't you're out there expressing. It's
Yeah.
not about what's politically correct. So I think that's where that comes from. So
Mm-hmm.
may I take us into a little bit because how did the company? Because I've got a better signal now with you, so I'm asking you, taking 5 more extra minutes with you. When you came in, you had a very supportive set of people over there to help you
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
perform in the company as a new person. But also at the
Mm-hmm.
same time, your husband was also part of the thing. So now
Mm-hmm.
you have this whole, this is like a family business, but truly professional, where people are there to support each other. So
Mm-hmm.
how did those relationships work at that point of time? Because a lot of times you hear people don't get together, and they can't get along.
Mm, I think first of all, when I came into the company, my parents were very clear that I should only come in as a trainee engineer.
Hmm.
So I joined with 100 other people who were joining straight from college into the organization.
Right,
I went through the same induction program that all of them went through,
right,
whether it was some time on the shop floor, whether it was some time through sales, service, everything, production, the works.
right,
Um, I think that helped in many ways
right.
because I was just not plonked on the board of the
Right,
company or just after coming out fresh from college.
right,
It also helped me to understand the company better, to understand people better in the organization. Um, Having said that, it was a little different when I came back to India in 96 because I went there as one amongst them
uh-huh.
and I came back when my father suddenly passed away.
Hmm.
So, unfortunately, circumstances also changed things.
Right,
And so, when I came back, I came at the helm of the organization because
right,
I joined the board to help my mother.
right.
And so, suddenly, from being one amongst them, I was suddenly
On top.
above.
Right,
Yeah, that made me feel very uncomfortable.
right.
And in many ways, my confidence was a little shattered at that time because I felt, am I good enough
Hmm.
to deserve this position?
Hmm.
And and so I went through a lot of dilemmas within.
Right,
Um, and of course, then I learned the ropes and I went through finance and I went through different divisions of the organization in an executive role. Before then, I took over in 2004 when my mom stepped down.
right,
And I also felt at that time that it would be very helpful to have a coach.
right,
So I had an external coach who really helped me to understand my role in the organization, to help my MD and CEO understand his role.
right.
And again over there, I think, and this is in 2004.
Hmm.
So I think again asking for help and bringing someone in externally and making him really put a mirror in front of you
True.
and increasing that confidence. I think that really helped at the time.
Yes, I think
So.
a lot of people don't, and people who are watching this now, I just want you to let everybody know that it is normal to feel fear in a new environment. It's normal to feel insufficient at points in
Mhm.
life or in work and not we are not perfect all the time, and we may not be equipped all the time to do everything.
Sure.
And it's important to be able to see yourself that way.
And more so with women
Right.
because very often women take over organizations by default
Right.
rather than by design.
Right.
And again, with my father passing away, my mom took over by default.
Right.
When my brother passed away, in many ways, I took over as
Right.
default.
Mm-hmm.
So then, as a woman, you question yourself:
True.
is
Enough.
this really the right position? Have I just been put over there because of the shares that I own?
Right.
Whereas men automatically
They grab it.
assume,
Right.
yeah, that it is their
Okay for them.
right to be in that position.
True.
Yeah.
True. So that brings me to the last question, Meher. You have a daughter who's 13 years old.
Well, now she's 17 and a son who's 20.
I'm sorry. So it's 20 and 17. So I'm wrong. My research was not right. So you're inspired by your mom. And what does your daughter say about you?
Oh God, that you'll have to ask her, Abba.
And whatever you've heard. So what do they say? Because we are inspired by you. So I'm sure your daughter is also looking at you, watching you, emulating you, and probably sometime in future she'll be part of this legacy. So where does she look at herself now and watching you working so well?
I think with children, as I think we all went through as children, at that time, the respect and all doesn't come too much. It's,
Later,
oh
it
God,
comes in the 40s.
yes, probably. I'm sure deep down,
Yes,
there's a huge feeling of respect, um, love, lots of things.
right.
But I think if you, I mean, in day to day, it's, oh God, you're there again. Oh God, you've taken a day off to be with me. Why don't you get back to work? So but I think that's in the day to day.
Right.
But I know deep down, there is a lot of respect because sometimes in the essays that she writes or in some other way, it manifests itself,
Right.
uh, which is really lovely. And I think they've both been brought up with a very strong set of values that I'm very proud of.
I really do believe so. Watching you, listening to you, and knowing your mom, I think we're looking forward to two fantastic people coming up and being leaders. Because when I talk to my daughter and I travel, I tell she always asks me for how long are you going. So I say a week. So she says just a week. Just a week. So she said, take some time off. Take 2 more days, 3 more days. So I can truly relate to what you're saying. So, Mayor, three big. We've talked about authenticity. We've talked about values. We've talked about creating trust in teams and allowing people to own what's going on. And these are clearly leadership lessons that everyone should learn. Three nuggets from you as we close. What do you think are the three leadership lessons for women in particular, because we know about the big ones in the books and we know from your experience something, but what should women look out for if they are in leadership positions or getting into leadership positions, if not that, to lead their own lives?
I think the first, and I can only say it from my own experience,
Right.
I think the first is to have confidence in yourself.
Mhm.
I think it's very important for women to have confidence because you have got what it takes.
Mhm.
It's just when you believe in yourself that others will start believing in you.
Right.
So I think that's the first. I think the second for women is, and again, that's something that my mom has always said to me. How do you want to define success for yourself?
Exactly.
Is it your work
Yeah.
that gives you that sense of success,
Right.
or would you like to define it much broader
Mhm.
in terms of it's the relationship that I have with my children, it's the
Right.
relation I have with my husband,
Right.
my in-laws, and if I have a good relationship, I am successful.
Right.
So you're defining that for yourself.
Right.
Similarly, at the workplace, but that is one subset of many aspects of success.
Right.
So you might want to broaden the definition of success
Mhm.
and not limit it only to the workplace.
Right.
So that's, I think, my second. And what can I say in terms of third? Um,
Tell us about what finances and money should mean to women, because I think that's yet another area where women find themselves extremely
I
confused.
yeah, I think learn to be independent. especially in this day and age.
Right.
But I would say with that independence, also learn to give and take.
Absolutely.
Because I think sometimes in that quest for independence,
Right.
We are giving up in relationships, especially with our spouses, too
Right.
soon.
Right.
And I think investment in a relationship is as important
I think it's a
as
bigger investment because you won't be able to
absolutely,
enjoy the money later.
absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. So that's great, Meher. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're
Thank
very, very busy, and thank you for sharing your insights with us and telling us about what's coming in the future with yourself and the company. So it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks, Abha. Thanks a lot.